Hey there, it's Mr. Tush, and we are going to talk about how to put a navigation menu on your website. The navigation menu is these words across the top that allow you to jump between pages. And here is the Buckley High School website as it exists at the day of the making this video. It's a pretty complex one. It's got a bunch of drop downs, etc., etc. And raw HTML, this can be a little bit tricky to manage. We're going to give you some code today to make it much more accessible. We're not going to have any drop downs. It's going to be a fairly simple one across the top. But what we're going to do actually is we are going to use CSS and HTML all together to make this work. And it's going to be a little bit tricky, but let's work together. We're going to make that happen. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to have three things open. I want you to have all of your web pages open in Sublime Text. So you see I have styles, I have my CSS page open, I have list practice, I have my image page, I have my favorite foods, and over here I have the page I use to play with styles. You'll notice that they're actually starting to tuck behind each other. That's okay. It's not a big deal. You just tab your way around it. It's not a huge problem. Then over here I want you to have your web pages open. So as I open to index.html, it's actually the one I have open. It's the one I'm going to want to play with. Is my home page, my landing page. So your home page is open in Sublime, and your home page is open here. And then on a different tab, you're going to want to have this open, the worksheet that I gave you, because you're going to need to copy code. And yes, I am giving you code to copy. You're going to have to edit. If you simply copy and paste it in, it will not work. But if you copy and paste it and then edit it specifically for your website, then it will work and it will look good. And I'll even show you how this code works so you can make your navigation menu look really slick. So let's do this one step at a time. And I gave you directions. First it says insert the HTML with the comment. So I'm going to bring it from this down to here, this whole piece right here. And so you know what this is, this thing with the bracket and the exclamation point. Navigation begins here, and this happens again down here. Navigation ends here. Those are called comments. Comments are something that coders use all the time, and that tells you how to find things when you're looking through piles and piles of text. Right now, none of your pages are all that big, but some of them are getting a little bit long, as you can see. So whenever you are going to want to know where something is and make it easy to find, you're always going to want to comment it out so that we know where to find it. And the comment is right here, and you put in bracket, exclamation point, dash, dash. Say whatever you want, it will be ignored, dash, dash, and close the bracket. As long as you put these funky brackets on either side of it, it will ignore the HTML, the browser will ignore it, but you'll be able to find it. Anyway, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to copy. And then I'm going to over to my body right here, and I'm going to give myself just a little bit of room so it's easy to find. And I'm going to paste it. You'll notice that it pastes in really quickly. And the other thing I'm going to give you a couple of things. One, I'm going to move everybody in just a little bit. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to make it easier to find it. So I moved everybody in just a little bit. And then the other thing I'm going to notice, and you click off here, notice that the comments get put in italics. That's just a color coding that it uses just to make sure you understand that that's italics. That's a comment, rather, and it's going to be ignored. Now, how does that look? Well, I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to save this. And then go over here to my first web page, and I'm going to save it. And okay, I have it right across the top. Why did I do that? Well, because I've got an A reference here, home and news, etc., etc. And you'll notice that it also, their links, they don't go anywhere. That's also interesting. Well, we're going to fix that. I will explain the div later on, but right now we're going to go in and we're going to make these active. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to go to home, and I'm going to change the address of home. See where it's headed to essentially an anchor. I want it to go to index.html because that's the address of my home page. The next thing I have is my styles pages. Styles. And I think I called it styleplay.html. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to change that to styleplay.html. Now, why did I call this styleplay.html? Because that's what I call the page. So I have to, matter of fact, get rid of this page now, but I have to call it styleplay with a capital P.html because that's what it's looking for. And then over here I call it my favorite foods. foots, my favorite foods, and then I'm going to change the address, this part that's listed in brown. I'm going to change it to favorite foods.html, and then here's my images, and I'm going to change this to, look what it says, imagepage.html. I have to spell it that way, imagepage.html. And wait a second, I don't have this list practice thing. What am I going to do? I'm going to simply add it. I'm going to select this, copy, return, give myself a different line, and I'm just going to paste it. And then I'm going to change it to where it says listpractice.html. So I'll go in here and change this to listpractice.html, and then lists. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to go over to Chrome and I'm going to refresh it. It all says what I'm supposed to say. And if I click, they actually work. I'm going to have to click back because I only got it on one page. Styles, foods, home. Of course, that's where it's going. Images, lists. So far, I've tied it all together. Now, if I put this in the header of every other page, not in styles, but in every other working page, I put it in the top of the body. Make sure you put it in the top of the body. Once I put that in place, I've got the, oops, not that. I have to copy the entire thing. So I take this entire thing, and I'm going to copy it, go over to list practice, go over to body, make a little room. Over here, I'll tab in so it goes in neatly, paste. And there it is. And save. Image page, body, boom, boom, boom. Paste with my comments. Save. Favorite foods. Go to the beginning of the body. Paste. Save. And I closed one because I had image, favorite foods, image page, list practice, index. I have one open. Oh yeah, style play. I don't think style play is open, so let me open style play. And over here, I'm going to go ahead and paste it. So now I've got my menu working on all of my pages. And now I can click right through and it just allows me to go. Now, it's a working menu. I'm going to be candid with you. It's pretty ugly. And here's where we get into the CSS. Now, we know our CSS is here, right? It's our styles page. We did the lesson on CSS styles. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and look at the lesson on CSS styles. And I'm going to just tell you to copy and paste this into the style sheet. Include the comments. Now, remember how I told you this is a comment in an HTML page? In a CSS page, this is a comment. The slash asterisk, it ignores everything after it until it sees an asterisk slash. Why? Because that's the way the code works. Just copy the whole thing. So select the whole thing, and then I'm going to copy. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to paste. And I'm going to save the page. And I'm telling you that's all you have to do. Watch what happens. Refresh the page. Poof. All of this tells this what to do. How does it work? Stay with me. I'm going to show you how it works. If you look, you've got this .topnav, 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 .topnav. If you go over to here, it's got a class called TopNav. It says div class TopNav. Well, this thing div says deal with this section of code on its own. So it's okay to set rules that exist between the divs, and they just kind of live there. They just do their thing in there, and that's where they live. And I'm defining something called a class. Class is a CSS term, and it's looking for something called TopNav. So, and TOPNAV, TopNav, over on CSS, and the .topNav, and I put that in there. So every time this, which looks to my style sheet, sees class.topnav, oh, go to the style sheet and look for the TopNav class, and then do whatever it says. The background color is .33 or hashtag 333, which is the hashtag for this this black, this dark gray, whatever it is. Overflow is hidden. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to get into it. Now here it says style the links inside the navigation bar. They're floating left, which means they're going to be left justified. And here's the color, F2, F2. If I text align at center, padding 14 and 16, text decoration and none, the font size 17. Let's do an easy one. What if I change this to 27? I'll just save it. What happens if I change that? The fonts get humongous. I change the font size to 27. I'm going to change it back to 17 so we don't make ourselves crazy. And that's back at the original page. What if I wanted to add different things, like if I wanted to add a different font, I would go in here and use this to add different fonts in there. If I wanted to add different colors, I would change them in here. When I change them in here, it changes it throughout the site. But you'll see that the site remains, the nav menu remains the same all the way through it. Now, what about the fact that the green is always home? The green is always home because it's actually got this class called active over the home menu. So on this page, the class active is home. And what if, oops, didn't mean to do that. I closed it. Open recent, index, there we go. You'll notice that home is green. Well, if I look here, it says class active. Where's the word active here? I wonder what that's about. Oh, look, it says top nav A for uses the A tag, right? And then active. So on the top nav class, whenever you see an A tag and its class active, the background color is set for that. Now, why would that matter? Well, I'll tell you something. I go over here to the home page, and that's the one that says active. What if I went over to list practice? Over on list practice, I'm going to want to take it out of here, and I'm going to cut it, all right? And this is where I'm going to put it. Over on image page, I'm going to cut it out of here, and I'm going to put it in the image page. On my favorite foods, I'm going to take it out of here, and I'm going to put it into my favorite foods. And then on my style play, I'm going to take it out of the home, and I'm going to put it in style play. And I'm going to have to save each of these pages because none of them have been seen yet. So I have to make sure I save them all. And I'll just use the keyboard shortcut. And they've now all been saved. And now watch what happens. I go over to the styles page, my favorite foods page, and now we get the green background that tells us where we are. Now, you don't have to like my color choices here. I am totally fine if you want to change anything that you want, like colors. You can change it using CSS styles and color names. If you're not sure, you can change the colors in CSS by using the color charts that we gave you in the textbook under HTML colors. Or you can go to something called a hex color picker. X color picker. Excuse me. And when I go to a hex color picker, I can go in and I can pick absolutely any, a little cookie thing, don't worry about that. I can go ahead and pick any blue that I like. And I could change my background to blue, and gee, I'm kind of fond of that blue. So I'm going to go in and change that. And so now I can go in here and I can make the active links background color that. And I can save it. And now when I go through my page, now the active link is that blue because I changed it right here. And that works. So that's a shortcut to giving you a really cool menu. I don't expect you to be able to write all this information, but I do want you to be able to install this code and play with it just a little bit so that it looks pretty consistent. And frankly, this is a fairly good choice considering I've got the light blue background going across my site, and I've got the dark blue or brighter blue going across the top. So that kind of makes sense. And that's pretty much what you're going to have to do to finish your website. It's the last project, last part of this project. So once that's up and that's running, come and talk to me. We'll check you in, and that'll be the last thing you have to get going to make this website work. Enjoy it, be creative, and just take a look at Final Project, and we'll get rocking and rolling on that next. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.